Hello everyone and welcome back to Welcome Grove Homestead. I'm David and this is Amanda, and today we are going to share with you 5 awesome tips for new homesteaders. Plus one extra bonus tip we'll share with you right at the end, which is just probably my favorite over all of them.
Oh, well, of course it is. It's because he came up with it.
Yeah, I'm a genius.
Anyway, we have been operating for almost 2 years now, this almost 60-acre homestead farm thing. We've got a lot of animals. We've got
just about all of the animals.
A lot of experience and knowledge that all happened in a very short time period.
That's true. When we started, we were like, we had done goats, we had done chickens, and we had done gardening.
And rabbits.
And rabbits. And dogs, like that kind of thing. But like that was all in a city environment. We did it like all in our backyard. And so moving out to a farm, which was both of our lifelong dream, it was a big deal to like jump in all the way. So we gained a whole lot of knowledge. A lot of the stuff that we're going to share with you today, we wish we would have known when we started. But we had a lot of people that came alongside us and taught us as we went.
Now, we really have.
That was invaluable, and we would love to share some of that knowledge with you as well.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay. So our first tip actually pertains to before you ever buy your property.
Yes, yes. And that tip is shop wisely.
I think that largely what it boils down to is that you need to know what your goals are, what you want to do with this property before you even look at any properties. What do you want to do? Figure out what you're going to need on a property that will allow you to do those things and stick to those requirements.
There's a lot of things that are wants and there's a lot of things that are needs. So when you're looking for a farm, make sure you get something that meets all the needs for sure. And then wants come secondary, or maybe you could find some ways that they work together.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I caution especially on not wavering in your needs list, because we did that. When we were shopping for our property, David was actually out here in Tennessee already. He got a job, and so he moved out a few months ahead of the rest of the family. So we were really missing each other and really wanted to be together. So we started to look at properties that were not necessarily the full ideal. And we got really excited about one property that was absolutely beautiful, but it had a floodplain that ran right down the entire middle of it.
And you start justifying it because of, well, look how pretty everything else is. Look at all the outbuildings. Look at all, oh, we can clean up all of that.
This is also when we were living in California and it's very dry there. So you think, oh, yeah, we can deal with some water. Guys.
Also, I don't know if you looked behind us. It's winter here in East Tennessee right now. And suddenly there's snow. Something we did not really even consider as like a obstacle, really, moving from a different climate. And so understand the climate you're moving to as well. The land is important, the climate's important, what happens in all seasons.
Yes, all year round matters, not just the time of year that you're looking at it.
Get to know your neighbors before you buy the land. Go talk to them. Even maybe you've put your offer in, maybe you're in their contingency period of time. Talk to them and say, what do you know about this property? Introduce yourself. Am I going to enjoy living next to these people? Because they're going to tell you, yeah, man, that whole pasture, unusable half the time, or it's a big muck pile or mud area, and you don't want to deal with that. Yeah. I mean, it's better to step out of a contract than be stuck with it for years and lifetimes.
Now, fortunately for us, the Lord intervened for us. And,
oh man, I look back at the places that we were crying over and praying for, and I went, man, God totally helped us dodge a bullet there.
He really did.
Because what we landed on, this farm here, just adjacent to the property your parents bought, it was a dream come true, and we didn't even know it existed.
Yes.
So.
Now, he just mentioned my parents. Yes, we moved out here with my parents. They live on the next door property. Their house is spitting distance from ours. Some people can't do that due to relationships, due to finances, all of that.
Personal desire.
Personal desire.
Love my in-laws once a year, that kind of thing.
Yes, we are doing this as a coalition situation. That said, that meant that we were looking for property as a group of 4 adults instead of 2. It is so important, even when it's just a couple, to be on the same page of what everyone's top lists are for wants and needs in a property. There were things that people had on their list, and for me, I wanted lots of property. I wanted more than 10 acres, and everyone else thought that I was insane.
Why would we need 10 acres?
They said,
or
we are
more?"
never gonna need more than 10 acres.
That was wrong, and I will be the first to admit that. Now having 60-ish acres, just under 60, I'm going, I could really use about 10 or 15 more that could be straight for hay or pasture or something. And so that is our tip number 1, shop wisely. Let's go on to tip number 2. Our next tip is put your farmer pants on one leg at a time. Right?
Yes.
We are really, really good at that. We nailed that one.
We did not.
No, we didn't. When we bought this farm, we had a wonderful man who had sold it to us. His name is Randy. He grew up here, and his dad and mom raised him here. And of course, he grew up and he bought a farm right down the street. So he ended up giving us all kinds of awesome advice. And he looked at us and he said, Ewans, put your farmer pants on one leg at a time. Don't just jump into everything. You'll get overwhelmed and you won't be able to do it. You'll be burned out real quick. Well, we're really bad at following that instruction. As our son Nathan says, we put our farmer pants on over our head and pulled them down. Like, we just went nuts right from the get-go. As any of you who followed our channel know, we were so excited. Part of that is because we took advice of another friend, and we used our entire life, our waiting room, as a classroom. We were studying our tail off what we wanted to do, how we were going to do it. So we had a little bit of preparation under our belt. We had done stuff on a much smaller scale, and we were ready to scale up. That doesn't mean it's the right move for everyone. It is so hard to jump in and do all the animals all at once.
Just a little bit of background is that I majored in animal science in college forever ago, so I had a lot of conceptual knowledge, and I even had a little bit of hands-on experience from my college courses, but so many years ago. However, that gave me more confidence for us to jump in more readily and more quickly with some of the stuff, but I would not necessarily recommend that for everyone.
And I mean, I watched a lot of cowboy movies as a kid, so I was pretty much ready to go wrangle. You know, part of putting your farmer pants on would be just understanding what you can handle and what you can't. I won't say that everything we've got into has been a booming success or even the right move for us. It's kind of reasonable to say we're learning and take the first couple of years of being on your homestead to say, these are the animals we enjoyed having, and this is how we're going to pare down from there. A lot of the most successful homesteads we've talked to don't try to do everything like we're doing. They're less diverse in their animals, and they kind of just say, okay, we're going to focus on cattle, we're going to focus on sheep, we're going to focus on goats, and they kind of go along those lines.
So if you're watching this video today and you are in the classroom, you are doing your research, you are dreaming of your homestead.
We were there for a while.
Make lists. I'm a list person. Make lists of your top 10 animals that you want to raise. Make a list of the top 10 food things you want to be able to do for yourself. Like, just make a list of what your priorities are and where they lie. Now, with your animals list especially, number it by their value. Your number one, this is what I want to raise. Not just, oh, it's somewhere in my top 10. Know what your goals are and be able to work toward them, and do your research every step of the way. Make sure that you do research the care and the needs of every animal that you are interested in getting.
Nerd.
I'm just saying, I have had so many people in local area that have come to me in dire straits with their goats specifically, because they didn't know that, oh, you need to watch out for these signs and symptoms for a worm infestation. Oh, they actually need that mineral in their diet. Oh, they need this or that. Like, if you do your research and you're able to prepare yourself, you are going to have far more success and less emergent issues turning up because, oh, I didn't know they needed that.
No, but it's true. People who just don't know turn to Facebook groups, say help, and if you are the kind of person that can jump in with a little bit of knowledge, you're a lifesaver. And if you don't have that knowledge, go and research it so that you can actually take care of your animals. That's a good point.
In terms of food production, you're really better off starting with livestock. Unless you buy property in an area that is particularly fertile soil, then you're really going to have to put a lot of input into building up a garden, which involves like buying a lot of compost. And honestly, if you get livestock right in the beginning, they're going to start making that for you. Some species that you might raise for meat have a significant time investment involved, such as beef, which can take 18 months to 2 years to grow out, or lamb that can take a year, or depending on the breed of pig, could take anywhere from 8 months to 12 months, or even longer if you go with other breeds. Or if you start with chickens, you could have meat in as little as 8 weeks. And egg layers, if you get them as mature birds, you would have food right away. They can provide you with food in the way of meat or milk or eggs, but they can also help you with your property. For example, goats can be used to help clear brush. Not to mention the snuggle factor. This is Amelia. In a rotational grazing system, sheep can be used to help improve pastures or even hayfields. If you're looking for ways to save money on equipment for clearing spaces, pigs are the way to go. They will take brush out all the way down to the dirt. They will till up soil for new gardens. They are a very, very valuable asset to a farm beyond just, what they do best, which is making bacon. Another animal worth mentioning is rabbits. They are amazing animals. They require very little space, very little cost of care. They're very easy to set up. They're easy to care for. For any new homesteader that is also trying to establish a new garden, I highly recommend rabbits because they have a cold manure that can immediately be used on the garden without any composting, so there's very little wait time. And these guys do produce quite a bit of manure, so it is a readily available source of that fertilizer / compost. As a meat source, they are also very prolific breeders, so it is a very, very viable source for a low-income startup, or even just having a small scale operation. These guys are fantastic. They're a great homestead animal to have. You don't look very tough, do you? Oh, baby. That's Bindi, one of our livestock guardian dogs. Doesn't she look tough? Continuing along the lines of livestock leads us into our next tip, and that is temporary infrastructure is absolutely okay. Along the way of developing our homestead, we've had some animals that came to us maybe ahead of schedule for what we planned on doing, but opportunity arose and we were able to make a temporary infrastructure for them. Now, while I say that temporary infrastructure is absolutely okay, I will caution you that you have to have plans for your permanent infrastructure in place, because temporary can become way overextended very easily if you do not already have plans or at least ideas for your permanent housing. But as far as things like a permanent location, obviously you don't know yet where you want to put everything right away, or you want to experiment with putting something in a certain location. For example, take a look at our sheep. We intended on getting sheep to repair a pasture toward the back of the property. It is definitely very run down. Sheep will help clear out some of the weeds, as well as fertilizing it with their manure. However, that pasture is not yet ready to receive livestock because there is no water source, or hasn't been. We have since piped in a water system. We have not put our automated water in yet, because we had to wait for warmer temperatures, but we also need to put in a shelter that is a permanent structure to go back there. So in the meantime, we have had to make temporary infrastructure for our sheep. In the summer, this is much easier because they just were put on a rotational grazing system, and they were given some very simple structures for shade. We used a calf hut as well as a retired pig shelter for shade, and that worked great in the summertime. However, wintertime has been a challenge. We tried making a shelter for our sheep using some of the cattle panels from our garden from last year, and it worked great until we had a windstorm come through, just literally a couple of days ago. So now, because of the destruction of their temporary shelter, they have been moved temporarily once again to our goat barn, where I have divided it between the sheep and the goats, mostly due to the dogs, not due to the livestock themselves commingling. This is a perfect example of what I am talking about, in that we have plans for their permanent infrastructure, but we are using temporary infrastructure until we can get them where we want them to go. Once we get that water installed for them, we can very easily put up electric fencing again and put them out there on a rotational system, even until we get our permanent shelter in there. They can continue to use a calf hut, they can continue to use very simple structures for their shelter, with the intent of getting a permanent structure in place before next winter.
Another homesteading tip is get yourself a tractor. I love my tractor. This Kubota is a workhorse, but the tip is get more tractor than you think you'll ever need. I love haying our fields, like cutting hay, I love baling it. Problem was, when I got this 40 horse
tractor, it's 40 horsepower, which means it can do what 40 horses can do, right? Well, 40 horses can't actually run around baler. So I have to borrow a 70 horse for that part of the baling process. This can do everything else, but it can't run around baler. So when you're buying a tractor, think, what is my end goal? What is the purpose of this tractor gonna be? You might need 2 tractors, one to clean out stalls, one and that kind of thing, one to actually run equipment in the field. If I were to buy another tractor, I'm gonna have to upgrade to something 70 or 80 horse or even more, which very expensive. You're gonna have to do your shopping, look for a deal, but always buy more horsepower than you think you'll need because you will want it. Yes!
Quick talk about tractors. You never know what you're going to be doing with your tractor when you get it. So you got to have something that is versatile. A lot of the old tractors, like something years and years ago that was built, would have like a fixed bucket on it. This tractor, and something I highly recommend when you're shopping for a tractor, is get something with a quick connect implement for the front. I could hook up a bucket, a grader, a box blade, a hay spear, and I switch it all the time because projects on a farm, on a homestead, they change all the time. So enough horsepower to really get through any project you want, a quick connect that you could switch out your implements, and then, oh my gosh, make sure you have good tires, because 4-wheel drive, an absolute must, and good tires will get you through so much mess. Today we're in snow, next week we might be in some serious mud with all this snow melt. I'm still gonna have to run the tractor, feed animals, and get things done around here. So make sure you do your shopping and get something with good tires and 4-wheel drive, something that is enough horsepower to do it, and of course, make sure you can do all the tools easily, swapping out implements with a quick connect. The final tip, I'm calling it the bonus tip because it doesn't apply to everyone, but if it does, you are a blessed individual. The final bonus tip is involve your kids. Look at them. Kids are a blessing. They are also loud and obnoxious, but they have a lot of energy, so we'd like to put it to use. Just about every day you guys do chores, right?
Yeah.
Except
Just
for when
about.
you don't.
Twice a day.
Twice a day. Well, twice a day and lunchtime.
Twice a day on lunchtime for some.
We have a lot of friends with kids. When we get all of our homestead homies together, it's insane how many children are running around. And we kind of talk and share notes between each other and kind of say, well, what do your kids do? Or they might say, how do you get your kids involved? It's really important for the people who live on a farm to actually be involved in that farm, right? So I thought it would be kind of cool for all of you to kind of share what do you do on a daily basis as like your farm chores, so you can show people that like we actually do stuff. You are what makes this farm go round and round every day, huh? All right, so Miss Audrey, will you please start by telling us what are your daily chores and how do you get going every day, first thing in the morning?
So the first thing I do is I usually feed all the dogs, which is Reagan, Gideon, Max, Bindi, Hercules.
That was a lot of dogs. Holy cow.
And I feed, water, and give hay to all of our rabbits. We have a lot of them.
How many rabbits do we have right now?
I don't know.
49.
I think
We got a lot of rabbits.
Not a lot. There's not a lot. There's maybe 9.
Okay, well, then it's lower than normal, but that's all right. Nathan, tell us what you do.
I feed and water the pigs and do the waters for the goat and sheep.
Yeah. And the pigs.
Cows.
And the cows.
And the cows. Yeah, he's kind of our water boy.
Yeah, this one fills all the water troughs
He's our
in
pitcher
all
boy.
of the pens.
Are the pigs easy?
Sometimes.
Are they always this cute like the ones behind you?
No.
They all start that cute, right? And pretty soon they're grunting and squealing and chasing you around. Food man's here! All right, Caleb, tell us what you do.
I feed and water the turkeys. I feed and water the ducks and geese. And I feed and water the chickens and guineas. I check for eggs, and that's about it.
That's about it. All
and
right.
sometimes I help make them.
And what do you do every day at lunchtime?
Move the milk.
Move the milk from the freezer to the fridge so it doesn't, yeah. There's all these little tasks that you could try to do as an adult, you know, and you'll probably burn yourself out. I mean, that's just the thing.
And a seasonal chore for Audrey is that she helps me milk the goats. If I'm sick or unable to do it, Audrey will milk the cow for me sometimes. They all will help with farm chores. If I'm doing hoof trims, they'll help me. Like they all get involved in various tasks beyond just their everyday chores.
So I was hoping you'd maybe share that this is not just you and me saying go do this. They actually came up with some of the animals they wanted.
Yes, they did. So when we were getting ready to move, which was a cross-country move, and you're trying to get your kids involved and get them excited about leaving their community, their friends, their school, all of that stuff, it's a hard sell. So we said, hey, you know what, we're gonna go be living on a farm. What animals do you want to raise?
Kangaroos! Still waiting on my hippo. Carry on.
But for Caleb is a bird guy. He's always been a bird guy.
Ever since he was born.
Loved birds since he was a baby.
I even have a little bird print on my thumb.
He's got a little scar in the shape of a bird. But he said he wanted to raise turkeys.
Narragansett turkeys.
So to get excited about moving across the country, we said, great, you want to raise turkeys, let's pick a breed. So he did his research and we chose the breed Narragansett.
All right, so Caleb got his Narragansetts. He's a big turkey man. We actually got to eat some of his babies, great-grandchildren,
Whatever they are.
whatever, for Thanksgiving this year and Christmas. It was delicious. We thank you for raising such delicious babies.
Yeah.
Nathan, on the other hand, you were excited about one animal specifically.
Pig.
That's right.
And why is that?
Bacon.
Everyone loves bacon. I love them when they're cute when they're on 4 feet, but they're cuter on a plate.
No stick is better than bacon.
Well, see these piggies in the back? They're very cute right now, but they are way tastier when they're big. And by the time they get big, we're pretty much ready to process them. I mean, you do a good job of being with them every day, in and out, and feeding and watering them. But I mean, going from an idea to actually raising them and going through it.
A little different.
Is it as easy or harder than you thought? What do you think?
A little harder.
A little harder?
A little harder.
I say there are some days they're quite hard, I'm sure.
Yes.
You come out and they're just in a bad mood and you're like, get out of my way, I'm bringing you food.
Muddy days are hard when your boots are getting sucked down into that mud.
Falling down in the mud and the
Pigs
pig's
are
just like, I'm
pushing
here
you
for the food. All right, and Miss Audrey, you were really excited about
Nubian goats.
Yep, long-eared goats. That was the thing that she told her mom she really wanted. Long-eared goats.
Yes.
Where are we in that dream?
Well, we have 2 pregnant does that are bred to a purebred Nubian buck. So we are going to have our first purebred Nubian babies this year.
How exciting. And then you wanted some bunnies. We had bunnies back when we lived in the city. And now you have one of your own, right?
Juniper.
That's right, Juniper the bunny. And
She's my birthday bunny.
She is the birthday bunny that is now one of our breeders. That's pretty exciting, and raised here on the farm, which is excellent. And that's all she ever wanted. She doesn't want any other animals whatsoever.
Actually,
there's no
horse. I want a horse.
Yeah, she's not getting a horse. Yeah, hard to eat a horse.
Or milk.
I mean, maybe it's easy. We could find out.
You're not supposed to eat them.
Actually, they
We have an
did
ongoing
eat
debate over whether she's getting a horse or not. Post your comments, for or against in the comment section. We'll see if anyone on YouTube agrees with you that you need a horse.
This may come back to bite you in the rear end.
This is not a vote.
It is a vote. Please vote for me.
Well, seeing that we're getting kids involved, we're going to see if these kiddos have any words of wisdom for you as we close out this video today.
I really enjoyed going pigs, and when we've been eating them, I've tasted a major difference between the store-bought and the homegrown. I really enjoy the homegrown, and I really recommend it.
Don't be afraid to try new things, even if it is eating or growing new things. Like, for instance, trying rabbit. Rabbit is actually really good, and it takes almost like chicken. I take care of the turkeys, and when we built the automatic feeders, my life got a lot easier, and now I can actually spend more time with my turkeys.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it's a good idea to get automated feeders for your birds?
Yep.
Okay.
Good job.
So there you have it. Those are our top tips for new homesteaders.
And a bonus.
And bonus.
And a few ideas from us.
Yes, because children are full of sage wisdom.
Yes. Employ it today. No, seriously, great tips. They're things that we've learned and gleaned as we went. There's obviously many more, and a lot of it comes just through experience and getting, you know, just the experience of going through seasons in a farm and doing it wrong several times and just kind of being okay with that and learning as you go.
Yes. And I guess one thing to bear in mind is that we are not the end-all be-all of knowledge.
No.
There are other homesteading channels out there that are trying to give you their viewpoints, their tips, their advice. Honestly, take all of that advice and you can do with it what you will. There is no set, you must do it this way, you must not do it this way. Figure out what works for you.
Yeah, rules are just out there because that's what society says, and part of the reason we homestead now is because we don't like how society has changed. We're trying to create a new style of life for our family. We're trying to create a new home and a new norm. So join us in that and follow us on our channel. You can see what we're doing. It's part of the reason we're doing this whole YouTube adventure is that there's a lot of experience that we get to have that we realize not a lot of people do. And so while you're in your waiting room, get in there and learn. Be there for all the mishaps that we have and also the joys that we have, and then soon you'll be able to be doing the same thing for your own homestead and your own family.
Absolutely.
Now, you always close us out in a very special way.
I do, as always. This is your country nerd with a goat herd, saying that you can grow
Where you're planted. Even if you don't have an emu.
even if you don't have an emu.
And one more tip for you. Get an emu. Well, actually you don't have to, but it's a good idea.